There's no place like home for the holiday.
Goblins lurking in shadows, edge haunting, Mr. Street through the trees, yeah, yeah. Jack-o'-lanterns and chilling dread, ghostly figures dance with the breeze, yeah, yeah. Spirits roll the night, terrors delight, Halloween spooktacular fear ignites, with every corner's turn, shadows yearn, for screams and chills in the autumn light.
Welcome back to another episode of Horror for the Holidays, a Christmas horror movie podcast. I'm Jay Logsden.
And I'm Jeff Searcy, but unfortunately, Jay Logsden, you are once again mistaken, because this is the 2024 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Speaking of the spooky season, speaking of Halloween time, this past weekend I went to Nightmare Con. Was that what it was called? Nightmare Weekend.
Nightmare Weekend, yeah.
Put on here in Des Moines. I'll tell my experience with Tom Atkins later. People who follow us on Instagram already know.
Yeah.
But I'll get to that joke later. But got to meet Tom Atkins, Dee Wallace, the star of Red Christmas. Pretended like we really liked it. I mean, she wasn't bad in it. The cast and crew was great. The plot of the movie's terrible.
Yeah.
Got to talk with Clint Howard of Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 fame, and also the Tholian Web? No, the what's the? It's a classic Star Trek episode.
What the hell is that called?
Corbinite Maneuver.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that he's in. So,
what? Oh yeah, you met the mean one, I heard.
Yep, I got to meet the titular mean one, David Howard Thornton. He was tickled pink that somebody showed up with a copy of the mean one to get signed, and like took extra time to talk to me about it. And I was like, no, I love this movie. And he's like, I'm so glad. We talked about the SantaCon thing, and I'm like, the scene in the diner is so funny. And he's like, I worked at a diner during SantaCon. And he's like, that was really cathartic for me to get to kill a bunch of SantaCon assholes in a diner.
Nice. Well, I mean, of course he spent more time with you, Jay. We're part of a rare club of mean one appreciators.
Yeah. He's like, and he even mentioned, he's like, a lot of people didn't like it. And I'm like, I think people didn't get that, like, it's supposed to be funny. Like, I'm like, if you just watch the movie, it's a blast. Like, but he kind of mentioned the same thing we talked about. Where like people hate on this movie. It's like, no, it's a good movie.
Yeah, no, it's just a legitimately good movie. I don't understand the hate.
But yeah. Anyway, so that was Nightmare Weekend, more or less.
Yeah. And now we're gonna move on to speaking about a not so good movie.
Also stopped by the TerrorVision booth. Bought a copy of WNUF. So
nice. Another
copy of WNUF. Just because. Just a little treat for Daddy.
Gross. Okay.
Anyway, well, let's talk about that not so good movie. Let's talk about Third Saturday in October, Part 5.
Do we have to?
Because we did Third Saturday in October, Part 4 last year. No, Part 3. No, Part 2. No. We did Third Saturday in October last year.
And I got a bone to pick with this audience, Jay. And I got a bone to pick with the internet in general.
All right.
I know, big surprise. I heard and saw all over the place, you got to watch Part 5 first, man. Part 1's not going to make any sense if you don't watch Part 5. Blah, 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 blah. You're going to have such a much better time with Part 1 if you watch Part 5. These fucking movies are like basically the exact same thing, and you don't need to know shit about either one of them.
You and I talked about it briefly off air. I mean, we might as well talk about it now. Other than Ricky Dean Logan like being the narrator of this movie,
yes.
I was expecting him to be the Dr. Loomis of this movie. He's still running around trying to catch Jachariah Harding.
He should be, but he's not. And yes, there's literally nothing you need to know from the Part 1 that you need to know in this. Literally nothing carries over except the fact that there's a killer on the loose.
Yep. Yeah. And if anything, watching them in order answers the question of why he wears the weird skull mask. Because I think he finds the skull mask at the end of the first movie.
But yes, I was going to say that to all the assholes out there spreading like the misinformation that you need to watch Part 5 first. No, you don't. In fact, I agree with Jay. It's better if you watch them in order.
Yep. In the order of part one and then part 5.
Yes, because, much like, what's that other one that skips from 1 to 3?
Thanksgiving.
Yes, as I say, they're doing that same gag, but again, because, repetition is funny, I guess.
Released May 5th, 2023, just like the first one. Written and directed by Jay Burleson, just like the first one. Kansas Bowling stars as Maggie, who we will see again as Liddy in Christmas Bloody Christmas, a movie I really, really enjoyed from a couple years ago. I have the lead actress tattooed on my sleeve of Christmas horror stuff, and two, I think I've said in person, if not on the podcast itself, that if I was like in high school, Christmas Bloody Christmas would be my favorite movie. Yeah. Darius Willis resumes his role as Ricky D. Logan / Moore, the narrator in this movie. Yeah. And then Antonio Woodruff returns as Jachariah Harding, just like in the first one. Where to watch? Shudder currently.
Yep.
I think that's it.
That's pretty much it, yeah. Unless you want to buy it.
Which is really weird that it's only on Shudder. Like last year it was on Tubi, you could watch it there. A bunch of free places, and now it's just on Shudder.
And honestly, I think that it's going to hurt discoverability a lot because a lot of people are not going to pay for something they have, especially with the way they've marketed it, where people think they're missing entries or whatever. No one's going to pop on part 5.
Yeah. Personal experience. I mean, it's the same for both of us. We heard about these movies, and so we watched part 1 last year, and we're watching part 5 this year.
Yeah, we heard people telling us how great these movies are, Jay. I hear that all over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into our synopsis. Yeah. Oh, but did we mention that we were carving the pumpkin for a third Saturday?
Carving the jack-o'-lantern. No, we did not actually mention that. No.
Because this is the 2024 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular.
It is.
Anyway, so here's our synopsis. We start off with a recap of the first 4 movies. Remember, there was only one in actuality.
Well, recap being generous. They show some of the first movie, and then he's like, and then he came back four more times.
And then, yeah, a bunch of like kills that were like, I think in the credits they're literally listed as TSIO sequel characters. And, and the conceit that the original movie was a lost relic of the 1980s, and this is like a classic slasher up there with Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
God, I wish that was the case.
This is supposed to be the 4th sequel from 1994. And we, like I said, we get scenes from that first one, and then also a bunch of, like, a handful of, like, kills from 3 fake movies.
Supposed sequels, yeah.
The last movie being made in 1987, and then Jachariah Harding hasn't been seen in 7 years. We see Jachariah Harding's hearse driving down the road as we are informed that we are back in Hackleburg, Alabama, and it is October 14th, 1994.
Oh, no.
He pulls up outside a house wearing the skull mask he put on at the end of the first movie and enters the house.
He does do that.
Inside the house, Ronnie and Amy are having a fight about Ronnie's friend Johnny Stevens putting the moves on Amy at the town dance. Mm-hmm. They reconcile, and Ronnie goes downstairs just to be confronted by Jachariah Harding, who he thinks is Johnny Stevens come to like finish the job.
Yeah.
Amy finds Ronnie disemboweled, still yelling about Johnny Stevens. Mm-hmm. Harding stabs Amy in the skull, and as the phone starts ringing and goes to voicemail, it is Johnny Stevens calling to apologize as Ronnie dies listening to the answering machine message.
I'm real sorry, man. That was inappropriate. Try and dance with your wife like that.
Harding then laughs and sits down to watch coverage of the upcoming Tennessee Commonwealth Seahawks versus Alabama Mobile game.
Ugh.
Because that's what happens in these movies.
That's the thing that goes, yeah. That's the conceit.
Yeah. All of this revolves around a football game. I don't even remember. I think Alabama wins at the end of this movie. I think that's like the big thing. Is that like Alabama hasn't won in 7 years. Same with like Jachariah Harding showing up. Mm-hmm. Weird.
Sure, yeah. Cool.
Harding leaves the house, and it is now October 15th. So a whole, at least 12 hours have passed. He gets in a hearse and drives to the next house. Inside that house is PJ and her parents. PJ is making a bowl of cereal, but she really wants is to go to a place called Catfish Cabin, which I've heard has the best catfish in the whole damn country.
Oh, yeah.
her aunt, cousin, sister,
babysitter. Yep.
Maggie arrives to take PJ while her parents are going to attend the game. We get this extended driving scene as the opening credits roll, and we get a title card.
Ugh, yep, we sure do.
Back at PJ's house, Harding decapitates her dad by ripping his head off with his bare hands, and then bludgeons the mom to death with said head.
After doing the, the Commonwealth Shuffle or whatever he called it, he deserved
I think the Commonwealth Strut.
Oh,
the Commonwealth Strut.
He deserved to get killed.
And it's also, like, it's really weird, too, because, like, I think it's Hackleburg, like, Alabama.
Yeah.
But like, there's a large chunk of them cheer for the Tennessee team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very weird. And then, like, people are just okay. Like, you know, yeah, if like friends or family or whatever, like, you know, get together and watch like a sports game. But like a lot of the time it's like, you know, you go to like an Iowa State game and like, if it's Iowa State people, there might be like, oh, that's my daughter's boyfriend and he's a Hawkeye fan and everyone else is an Iowa State fan, or like vice versa. And here it's like, that's about 50-50. Like,
very unrealistic.
Yeah. It feels very fake.
In fact, I think if you cheered for a Tennessee team and lived in Alabama, they would probably kill you.
No, I agree with that.
Football is taken very seriously in the South.
Harding gets back in the hearse and drives to the next house, which is the house of Big Willie Nathan.
The best character in the movie, hands down.
Big Willie Nathan confronts Harding for trespassing, but Harding just laughs at him. Big Willie Nathan, I just about called him Nathan there. Whoa.
You got a set of big ones on you, Jay, but guess what? So do I.
That's why they call me Big Willie Nathan. Which also, I don't think having big balls would be the reason they call you Big Willie.
Yes, that is also very funny.
Big Willie Nathan shoots him 5 times. Harding is still standing, unfazed, pulls out a knife and starts laughing. We cut to PJ and Maggie leaving to go to the video store. And as they drive by Big Willie Nathan's house, he lays dead on the ground with blood on, like all over his stomach and blood on Jachariah Harding's knife.
Oh.
Harding continues driving and stops at the house across the street from Maggie's, considers going into her house, but hesitates and instead goes into the one that he parked in the driveway of.
A convenience.
Which belongs to Peter, as his friends George and Lester show up to watch the big game.
Oh, boy.
He also leaves like Lester downstairs. Lester is in a wheelchair.
Yeah. And
he leaves Lester downstairs, and you see like Harding standing in the window. And I was like, oh shit, are the kills going to start right away? No, they do not.
All right, I'm going to drag your crippled ass upstairs. I guess they're going up to smoke pot.
Yeah. Back to Maggie and PJ, who are renting a movie from the video store that Maggie's friend Holcomb works at. They are waiting for Holcomb to get off work so they can go to Peter's house to watch the game.
Of course, yes. The game, Jay. That's what all the young people are into.
And I believe PJ pretends like she's renting Hoosiers, but she's actually renting Newcomb High.
Yep.
Which is very funny. Back at Peter's house, Sharon and Angela arrive. Apparently at one point, George and Sharon were dating, but now they have broken up, and he is now pursuing Maggie. That's about it. A guy named Neil Pritchard dressed in a referee's outfit shows up. Turns out he's Lester's physical therapist. And he shows up to watch the game because because Lester invited him, not because anyone else invited him. Yeah. And he's a wild character. He's constantly blowing a whistle and throwing flags for like just perceived slights against people.
Yeah. He's essentially Kelso from that 70s show where he goes burn whenever anybody gets burned.
And as this goes on, Jachariah Harding like silently stalks throughout the house. Maggie, Holcomb, and PJ arrive across the street, and we get narration from Ricky Dean Logan saying, "As darkness falls across Hackleburg, so too does the long shadow of Jachariah Harding," which I just thought was a great line.
Yes, the narration is really top notch in this.
Which once again, make him the Dr. Loomis. Have him in this movie, not just being the narrator, but have him being like, no, Jachariah Harding's still alive. I know it.
Give the Dr. Loomis, the pure evil speech that everybody remembers.
Especially because Ricky Dean Logan was one of your and my favorite characters in the previous movie.
I mean, he's one of the best actors in a movie. I mean, granted, there's not a lot of great performances in this movie, but I think he's a legitimately good actor.
There's a lot of very bad performances in this movie, in fact. You have like the handful of people who can actually act, and then you have like people who, are like pausing for like long stretches and then saying their line.
Well, and you see there's going to be people that are like, but yeah, it was like that in the original, but it wasn't though.
No.
That's the thing. It's like, yes, those guys weren't great actors, but they were able to do what they needed to do to advance the story.
Lester and Peter get in a fight, and Lester pulls a pocket knife on Peter that Peter immediately like confiscates. Lester seems like a real Franklin from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in this scene, and then we get an extended dance sequence in the movie. It's not at the level of the meowing from the first movie, but it is. We do get this extended dance sequence.
Meow 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 meow.
Meow meow. We do, however, get meowing because at one point PJ does just start meowing, and then I think Maggie asks her like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm looking for Glamour Puss," who's a picture of a cat in Maggie's house, but they're not in Maggie's house.
I think that was supposed to be a joke, like an in joke or whatever, but it's not referenced anywhere. And like, was this just like something the crew was doing while they were making the movie?
I don't know.
It's like, I got it. Well, I'll say I'm trying not to interrupt Jay too much with my fucking criticisms of this movie till we get through the synopsis.
Saving them till the end. Sharon goes to order a pizza. This is probably the best part of the whole fucking movie. Sharon goes to order a pizza, but apparently can't get pepperoni due to a statewide pepperoni shortage.
Of course.
And also it will be ready in 10 to 45 minutes. And she has to go pick it up.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Angela and Sharon lure Peter upstairs, tie him to the bed, and leave him, but not after Lester shows off his man boobs.
Yep.
And they gag him with like I think Angela's shirt or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And so while he's tied and gagged in the room, Harding arrives, takes Lester's pocket knife, and starts stabbing him in the feet. And then the camera cuts away.
Spooky, I guess.
Sharon leaves to go get the pizza after George and Maggie go upstairs to talk. Which they actually do. They don't go upstairs to fuck.
I wish, Jay, I wish.
Harding goes back into Peter's room with a pair of pruning shears and chops off Peter's toes with them.
Of course.
Which is brutal.
As you do.
Maggie and George just talk about their relationship, and then Maggie goes downstairs, and George goes to check on Peter just to get his throat slit with the pruning shears. Maggie, Holcomb, and PJ leave to go to Catfish Cabin, the restaurant with the best dang catfish in the whole country.
That's right.
And I know this because we get an ad for it.
Of course. Yeah.
We get like a minute-long ad just talking about this fake restaurant. And you would think, man, Jay and Jeff, you guys loved WNUF Halloween Special. You sung the praises of Out There
ads.
Halloween Megatape.
Yes.
You would love fake ads. There are a handful of fake ads in this movie. This might be the best one, and it's not great.
Yeah. Well, and you see, we like fake ads when it's supposed to be recreating something, like a TV special, not in the middle of a movie.
Right. It's, very weird. Angela goes upstairs to check on Peter, finds Peter still alive but bleeding and tied to the bed, and George's dead body, and Harding approaches behind her with the shears, and she screams. That's it. It cuts away again. We get a lot of hard cuts in this movie. Sharon arrives back with the pizza, but it is cold, so she puts it in the oven, and Harding burns her with a slice of the pizza and then shoves her whole body in the oven. And I thought we would get a great scene of like her body in the oven, someone finding her body in the oven, and she's all burnt up and shit. We do not.
Oh, I see. Jay, you made a mistake. This is not a good movie. You're not going to get that.
Neil goes to check on Sharon, but can't find her in the oven. Neil then tries to take Lester upstairs to go to the bathroom, but Lester is too heavy, so Neil leaves him on the ground to go get help. Harding appears above Lester and taunts him with the pocket knife as Neil finds the bodies and the still alive Peter and pukes. Harding then picks him up, sets him down, and then murders him by shoving the whistle that he carries around down his throat.
Also, what kind of house only has a bathroom on the second floor?
Very weird, right?
That makes absolutely no sense design-wise.
Harding then kind of makes his way towards Lester. He's getting ready to kill him. And miraculously, all of a sudden, Lester can just run.
Yep.
He gets up and just runs out of the house and starts running down the road. I don't even think to get help, just to run. And then Maggie and Holcomb like pull into the driveway, completely missing Lester running out of the house.
Yeah. I'm guessing him continuing to run was supposed to be like a Forrest Gump reference, but I don't know.
Maggie's gonna put PJ to sleep and drops Holcomb off back at the party. Holcomb finds the murder room. Finally, someone unties Peter, and then Harding appears behind her, stabs her in the skull multiple times with a pocket knife. Peter tries to get away on his hobbled feet and is able to get into Lester's wheelchair just to get stabbed in the dick repeatedly by Harding.
Nice.
Maggie tucks PJ in and then goes to check on the party, finding the dead bodies, but Harding has arrived at her house where PJ is fast asleep. Maggie shows up only to find that PJ has already stabbed Harding, who then sits up and gives chase to the two girls. Harding starts to strangle Maggie, and PJ stabs him again. He just starts laughing. Then she gets 3 more knives, stabs him twice, and then Maggie slits his throat, just for Harding to take a knife and stab Maggie with it. PJ finds the ambulances across the street because I believe Maggie had called for help before she went to go get PJ.
Yes.
So she goes and gets like the paramedics and is like, come over here. The killer's over here. So they run over. Meanwhile, like Maggie and Harding are still kind of fighting. Maggie's able to grab the knife and stabs Harding in the forehead with the knife, kind of like attaching the mask to his face. And so then we got like the paramedics arrive, they take them both, and then for whatever reason, they're taking both Maggie and Harding to the hospital. They put them both in the elevator, and a nurse tells PJ, don't worry about that bad man. He's as good as dead. And PJ responds, he'll never be dead, as Harding's hand starts to move in the elevator and the credits start to roll. We get through all the credits, and then at the bottom it says, something about Jachariah Harding will return in part 6, and we hear him laughing. End of movie.
Are you done? Are you done with the synopsis?
I
Jay?
am.
Oh, good. If you've seen any slasher movie, you literally know how this movie is going to go.
I did have a question for you. I had kind of a thought. There was like, when the paramedic shows up, like Maggie's got this like weird smile on her face. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you think she and Jachariah Harding switched bodies? Like when they kind of like both like stabbed each other like simultaneously? Like it's like they peed in the same fountain at the same time or something?
I was speculating that based on, was it Halloween 6 where he transfers his consciousness?
Or he wants to, but he doesn't. Yeah.
Well, the little girl starts, she kills her
mom
at the end.
I think that's 5. 4 and 5, yeah.
I thought maybe it might be something like that, but then he starts moving again in the elevator. So,
but then he's moving, but maybe that's Maggie. I don't know. That was my one kind of thought. I was like, oh, maybe there won't be a part 6, but I'm like, maybe that would be the way to go.
I think it's just bad acting. I don't think it's got any. She thought that was like a reassured smile that help was coming, I guess. Because I don't think they're body switching.
That would have been a fun way to take it. Before we get into our categories, I think you wanted to kind of talk about slasher movies in general, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is paying homage / ripping off, depending on how you want to classify it. Yeah, 70s and 80s classic slasher movies. And what do you think, Jay? Do you think they do a good job of that?
Well, the first one especially not. This one's supposed to be like a 90s era slasher movie, and I feel maybe it's a little... It's
supposed to be like one of the... Obviously, they are famous for doing a million sequels of varying quality.
Yep. And like, does this feel more like a, Halloween 4, 5, 6 kind of thing? Yeah, maybe a little bit.
But my whole point was the central conceit of this movie, and the reason they want you to watch it is it's supposed to give you nostalgic feelings of like classic slasher movies, but it does not do that at all for me.
No,
because it's like the killer is not very compelling, which is something that you need. Like, people get really into Freddy Krueger or Jason or Michael Myers. There's really nothing with Jachariah Harding to get you that interested.
Well, and maybe I'm speaking from not having seen a lot of these movies lately, but I feel like certainly like Halloween 6, the kills are kind of evenly spread out throughout the movie. I kind of thought maybe in the first movie, Michael really doesn't start killing people in the first Halloween. until kind of the end of the movie.
A little bit later, yeah.
And you know, and even in like Nightmare on Elm Street, like the kills are kind of spread out, but there are large stretches where like there's Freddy's maybe taunting people, but there's not really.
He's still interacting with people, but yeah, he doesn't actually kill anybody.
But this one, it felt like, you know, if this is supposed to be one of like, you know, a sequel, have the kills more. We get like a handful of kills at the beginning, and then a handful of kills at the end, and there's like
a huge dead zone.
A
in the
45-minute stretch in the middle where nobody dies, and it's just Zachariah Harding walking around in the background.
Which, if it had better characters, would be one thing. But since their entire conceit is that we're here to watch Zachariah Harding kill people, and there's a huge portion of the movie where he doesn't kill anybody, it makes the whole thing fall flat. And because that's like, I think a thing a lot of people mistake from these, it's like, oh, we have these weird over-the-top characters, but those characters have to be decent actors to pull that off. Like the referee guy, if he had been a better actor, I think he could have been a lot more funny. Had better timing.
Disagree. I thought he was hilarious.
See, I didn't. I got tired of his thing after like the first 2 times.
I got really annoyed with like I hate Franklin in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Lester gave me hardcore Franklin vibes. Yeah. Very unlikable character.
Like I said at the beginning, the only likable character for me was Big Willie. It's like if he had survived his first encounter and had come back later on to like save the day, maybe like blown his head off with a shotgun or something like that.
Or like we said, have Ricky Dean be the Dr. Loomis.
Or yes, have Ricky Dean actually be in the movie versus just narrating it.
Like I thought PJ and Maggie, I thought PJ's might be one of the best child actors we've had in all of these movies. I thought she was really good and delivered her lines really well, and she was fun. And I thought Maggie was a solid actress.
Yeah, I would say I don't really have any complaints about those two. It's more all the other supporting characters that are supposed to carry that 45 minutes of dead air that don't do anything for the movie.
No, like the person who I'm thinking of who waited 5 seconds, said her line, which I mean you can also edit and edit out that 5-second pause before she says her line. But you know, whatever. That's up to the editor. That was the actress Sharon, and I was just like, get someone else, please.
But getting back to comparing it to slashers in general, it does not nail the vibe, and just doesn't get to that like classic slasher level, even though it's trying really hard to do that.
No, I agree.
I mean, the characters are part of that. Like Zachariah Harding, his mask is kind of goofy. I mean, I think he would be more scary without it, like he was in the first one.
Yeah. There was one scene where like he was in the background. I think it's when Sharon's ordering the pizza in the very funny phone call where they're like, statewide pepperoni shortage. He like appears kind of in the background, like behind the refrigerator. And when he steps out, like there's for whatever reason, it was like the way the skull mask looked so much creepier in that one scene than it did every other time you see
the movie, where it looks like a cheap mask you picked up at the dollar store.
Yep.
Which, I mean, they could have made it work, I think, if they had leaned, because that's the thing. They treat it like it's quote unquote not a serious movie. But that's the thing, is those movies were not treating themselves like comedies. They were treating themselves as serious horror movies, and they just happened to be funny because of the performances, like over-the-top performances, or like some of the kills and stuff would be funny, or like the plot conceits, but they didn't set out to make a funny movie.
I think somehow, like, this movie, like, it wants to be a parody, but it's not, because like a lot of those movies, like you said, are already funny, like unintentionally. And then this movie's like, well, what made those movies great? Being funny. And it's like, but no, that's
it's almost like they're trying to do a worse version of what Scream already did, which was parodying all the 70s and 80s horror slashers.
When Friday the 13th Part 4, when Marty McFly's dad, like, can I have this dance? And then does the goofiest fucking dance you've ever seen.
Yes.
I don't think like he was told do a goofy dance.
No, that was not intended to be funny. It just was hilarious. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's like you can't recapture that magic by doing it on purpose. You have to make a movie that you're taking seriously but ends up being funny as shit.
Even like Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. if they had tried to make that movie funny, I don't think it would have been funny.
Exactly. It's like if he had been trying to make Garbage Day a funny moment, it wouldn't have nearly the same impact.
But it's the fact that, the director's sitting there telling Eric Friedman, go bigger, do more, say like go louder, all this shit. And so then, this is the only direction he's getting. All right, I guess that's what I'll do. And then it's, you get what you get in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which you and I love.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. And
this, I think that's honestly the biggest flaw. And we'll get into that later, but trying to make a parody movie, but make it a serious movie, but you're parodying something that was already goofy to begin with. Like, people don't take, especially, the Friday the 13th. I mean, Halloween gets some of it, because some of the later Halloween movies do get goofy, but Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street really get goofy later on. And I was like, that seems to be kind of what they're trying to parody with this. But, I mean, it doesn't land. I don't think it lands in either entry. I mean, I say honestly, they capture the vibe more in the first one than they did in this one.
Oh yeah, the first one's more of that kind of slow burn, waiting for all the characters to get in place.
Yeah,
and this one, no, have the kid. I'll say it at the end. I'll save it for my final rating. We'll get there when we get there.
But it's like it doesn't. It goes. It's too subtle in a way, and it also doesn't go far enough in a way, because we're not getting anything super crazy like fucking Nightmare on Elm Street 5 level, or Jason versus Carrie. That's either 6 or 7. I can't remember which one.
Or the best one, Jason on a boat /
Yes.
in New York for a little bit.
But you're not getting anything super crazy on that end. Let's put Jason up against a girl with telekinetic powers, or let's make Freddy completely fucking insane and do. Isn't the beginning of 5 Welcome to Primetime, bitch?
No, I think that's 3.
Is that?
I think that's Dream Warriors.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure that's Dream Warriors.
I don't think that's Dream Warriors.
All right, you're gonna start looking it up.
Yeah, I'm looking this up.
All right.
I don't think. I think Welcome to Primetime, bitch was 5.
All right, listener.
We're looking this up in real time.
Yeah, listeners, you're probably screaming into the microphone who's right and who's wrong right now.
Oh boy! Of course, it can't just be easily available.
What if I did this? Siri, when does Freddy Krueger say "Welcome to Primetime, bitch"?
I don't know how to respond to that.
No one does, Siri. Don't blame yourself. I think you're right. I think it might be 3, but again, this article is not telling me.
Because I feel like it's a hospital style TV, and the part 3 is the one where they are in the hospital,
the mental hospital.
Yes.
Yeah. We're just gonna say you're right for now, because I can't. This is too much research on the fly. Apparently, can't just have an attribution for the quote.
We'll come back to this. We'll make a correction if we need to at the beginning of the next episode, just like we did with the Michael Myers thing.
I think you're right.
All right. Well, but no, I get what you're saying though. The Freddy gets goofier and stranger as the movies go on. The conceits or where they put Jason in these movies gets sillier as the movies go on. And, you also get Demon shitting his brains out, yelling about damn enchiladas. That one's great too.
But yes, there's nothing that over the top in this, and there's also nothing that's underplayed like the first Halloween or the first Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's like a slow burn buildup of tension, because this gets right into the killing, and they literally just they give you the backstory of the killer at the very beginning of the movie, so there's no mystery either.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you want to get into it? Get into our categories.
Yeah, we might as well.
All right. Well, let's start off with Monster Mash favorite quotes.
All right. Well, I mean, you know what I'm going to be quoting.
Old Big Willie Nathan.
You know it.
You got some big balls on you. Well, I've got some big uns too, and that's why they call me Big Willie Nathan.
That's right.
Which I think the funniest part is that big balls does not make your dick big.
Yep.
So he could be Big Bald Nathan, but he's...
I got that from the opening for my first one. The wife says, sorry about earlier. And here we go. I know that got you all riled up. I just saw you and Johnny Stevens, dancing like that. And well, considering I've been drinking, and you know how I get when I get the hard stuff in me, honey. Well, you know better than to drink it, don't you? Oh, I begged you not to get like this tonight. Now look what's happened. I could just see this conversation happening in a million houses in the South constantly.
There's also the line where after he like apologizes and she puts on like her nightgown, she's like, I got it from Kmart. He's like, oh, so I got Kmart to blame for all the things I'm thinking about doing, do you?
Yep. Also, right after that, he's like, when I got a woman as beautiful as you and I see Johnny Stevens with his meat hooks all over you, well, it's just the natural response to get a little bit teed off.
So in one of the fake sequels, in one of those scenes with the Third Saturday in October sequels, there's Third Saturday in October Gamer and Third Saturday in October, I don't know, Girl. I put them down as Nerd from fake sequel and Girl in Bra from fake sequel. The nerd. This game is so fucking impossible. He's playing a video game. The girl. Baby, is this really what you want to be doing right now? The nerd. Stop it. You're going to get me killed. The girl. You don't want to see my tits? The nerd. Not right now.
Yeah.
The girl. Baby, come on.
Now, what you should have done was acted like a gravy train on biscuit wheels and rolled your ass on out of here.
Good old Big Willie Nate. He has another like folksy saying. I don't have that one either.
Because the skillet's on the stove and the grease is already hot, boy.
I got Peter. Last I checked, referees wore pants. And then Neil Pritchard. I don't wear pants.
If you're looking to get your brain scrambled here today, boy, you're in luck.
Good old Big Willie Nathan. Last one I have is Neil Pritchard. That's a 15-yard penalty on Angela for staying in an abusive relationship.
Ain't no trespassing around here, boy, especially by some mask-wearing weirdo. Don't you do nothing stupid now. Now I'm going on up there to do my chore. Little kitty cats ain't gonna feed theirselves. Now when I turn back around, I best see your ass heading down that road. You and the hearse you rode in on.
I do love, by the way, we were talking about like characters in like slasher movies, or kind of like comparing this to classic slasher movies, and a lot of the people do, like, a lot of the character ideas feel very classic. You got Neil Pritchard, a guy that nobody really knows, who dresses up like a referee for some reason and makes a bunch of referee references. You got Franklin, the kid, or not Franklin, that's who he is. You've got Lester, the kid in the wheelchair. You've got George, who's got a stutter. Like, you do have some people. You've got Peter, who's the asshole. You do have the handful of like characters that represent the characters.
If they had been able to execute it better, they would have had all the pieces they needed there.
Yep.
But the problem is that a lot of people can't execute.
They gave you all the clues, Mr. Policeman. Do you have any other Big Willie Nathan lines?
No, but I got, it's your old pal Hank, owner and operator of Hank's Good Stuff. Just letting you know about our very special half-off sale we're having during the Alabama-Mobile Tennessee A&M football game. So come on down anytime during the game where everything is half off.
And then the girls take their tops off, and also he takes his top off.
And they say half off again. And I'm just wondering, from a business perspective, Jay, how are you going to get people to come down during the game?
Right. The game that you're advertising during.
Yes.
Then again, during halftime, PJ, Maggie, and Holcomb go to Catfish Cabin.
That's true.
I was expecting Catfish Cabin to be like a Chuck E. Cheese with like animatronic catfish. And I was really disappointed that there weren't. It was more like a Long John Silver's.
Yeah, I come to think of it, I was kind of hoping it would be something like that myself.
Let's move on to Halloween costumes, set designs, costume making, etc. I did think the Jackarai Harding, like with the mask, was kind of a good touch, similar to adding like the hockey mask for Jason in part 3.
Yeah,
even if it looked goofy.
I was gonna say, I wish it had been a better mask, like a higher quality mask, but I mean, it doesn't ruin it for me. But I preferred his weird, like, half burned look from being electrocuted
with his eye popped out and shit.
Yeah, I thought that was a better look for him.
Yeah, I kind of did too. I did also like that his suit had all the damage from like previous movies. Like his suit's all bloody and shit. It remains bloody throughout the movie.
That is nice. I mentioned to Jay earlier when we were talking about this before we went on, the gore effects I think were a lot better in this entry.
No, I especially, which is really weird because the movies
They weren't made that far apart.
Yep.
But
And maybe maybe we've not watched the movie in over a year. Like maybe we're wrong
no,
about the gore effects.
I rewatched part of the first one to make sure I wasn't going insane about the meowing and stuff you mentioned earlier, and the gore effects just weren't as good. Although this one still, one of the things I think we complained about in the first one was so many cuts away. For a slasher movie, they cut away from the kills way too much.
Oh yeah, I'm going to talk about that. But the chopping the toes off with the pruning shears is brutal looking.
Yes.
Like,
So that's the thing. It's like there are glimmers of good creative kills and good gore effects, and then you'll just have weird where they choose to do it off screen for no reason.
and then every once in a while, like I think every time they walk into the room and you see Peter, you see his toes like still chopped off. Always looks gross. Like I love it.
Which, costume wise, other than our slasher, obviously nothing really that memorable.
No, nothing really stood out. Especially because it's a bunch of fake college
Yeah.
apparel. Like these aren't real teams, so they're just kind of doing what they have, and yeah.
Yep.
I also loved loved Neil Pritchard getting the whistle shoved down his throat. I thought that was very brutal too, and looked good.
Yes, I'll say that was one of the more creative ones I did like.
Halloween Spirit next. How Halloweeny is the movie? How Halloweeny are the kills?
Yeah.
The movie was kind of Halloween. I mean, it's it's the third Saturday in October, but there were Halloween decorations around. It wasn't like I wouldn't it's not trick or treat level. It's not really WNUF level. I wouldn't even put it at Halloween level, but it was kind of Halloweeny.
Yeah. I mean, if you consider a slasher movie, which I think most of us do, to be in the Halloween spirit, then it gets a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, as far as the setting goes,
A thing I will give it, and I do not know when they filmed this movie, so keep that in mind. A thing I will give this movie though is it felt like fall, where the original Halloween was filmed in like the spring or the summer, and you see all the green leaves on the trees. There's leaves on the ground, but if you look at any of the trees in the background, they're all still green. And I do love that like this movie, like when the sun is setting, it feels like it's fall time.
yeah. No, I think honestly that if I had to capture one of the things that they did the best, capturing that seasonal vibe, I think was one of the better things they accomplished.
Even if if the decorations weren't really
if
there.
the outward signs of Halloween aren't there, it does kind of feel like it's taking place, in fall.
How Halloweeny are the kills? I mean, it's a
Not-
masked killer
not
killing
very.
people. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing like trick or treat level or anything like that.
I mean, that's the gold standard. It has to be like trick or treat level to be I think to be like a perfect Halloweeny movie.
There's some creative kills, like we said, the toe chopping and the whistle down the throat and stuff. But,
Getting stabbed in the dick repeatedly.
yeah, I mean, if you want to, I guess, yeah,
I mean, it was more just funny.
yeah. Let's say it was comedic for sure. But,
Yeah.
Well, you know what? A movie I actually heard, it kept coming up over and over again in reviews for this, because we were searching for our razor blades and the candy, obviously. Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Okay.
Has been getting people were like, Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is how you do a movie like this the right way. And so I'm curious to see that now.
I think Patton's in that one. I think Patton Oswalt's in that one.
Okay, because a lot of people speak of that very favorably, although a lot of people also speak of this very favorably. So
I've not seen Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, but I would like to check it out.
yeah,
A couple others I've heard for like kind of the Halloweeny feel. I think I've heard The Barn, which our friend Mike Lombardo is friends with the guy who makes The Barn.
okay,
And then also, I want to say it's called like Hollow's Eve or something like that.
well, and a lot of people said the Hatchet movies are better slasher throwbacks, really, than this series.
Okay.
So I've always been curious about the Hatchet movies.
Well, we might have to throw some of those on our list. Let's move on to Burnt Out Jack-O-Lantern, Brilliant Jack-O-Lantern. Jeff, what's the one thing you would fix? What's your Burnt Out Jack-O-Lantern?
My Burnt Out Jack-O-Lantern is, if you're going to make a slasher throwback to the 90s, throw back to a 90s slasher that wasn't one of the boring, terrible entry sequels that we got. Because that's basically what this feels like. It's like, hey guys, let's make a throwback parody of a movie that wasn't that good to begin with. And the people are surprised when this is also not that good. but it really felt like I wish they should have picked what they were going to try to parody instead of making it like, because they draw elements from so many different franchises. It's like, I think it would have been better if they were like, let's do our take on a Michael Myers, or let's do our take on a Jason, or our take on a Texas Chainsaw, or a Nightmare on Elm Street, instead of trying to mix them all together into one and pulling elements from like the worst sequels from all those franchises too. It didn't make any sense to me.
Mine is the what we mentioned, the weird hard cuts. There are just constant, like, just like you'll see someone like, you'll see Peter getting stabbed in the foot with the knife, and you kind of see the foot for a second, and then it just cuts away. Hard cut.
Well, and that kind of rolls into mine, because one of the things that people hated about some of these later horror sequels was because they cheaped out on the effects and stuff, they would cut away from kills constantly when that was literally the whole reason you were there.
But this one, I don't know. This one though, like even thinking back to some of those, and maybe once again, like I haven't seen some of these in a long time. I'm thinking with rose-colored glasses or whatever. But like even then, like I don't know. This is just so blatant.
No, I don't think any of them. I don't think any of the originals they're parodying rise to quite this level of like absurd cutting away from things. But yeah, I can totally see what they were going for.
Yeah, but it's just like, or who is it? Like Sharon. Maybe it's like when Sharon gets killed, or it might be like Holcomb or whatever. There's just like she gets stabbed in the head, or maybe it's Angela, like gets killed or whatever, and then she screams and it cuts away, and like it's a black screen for like a second instead of just cutting down stairs or whatever, which is what they do. There's like just a black screen, like, and it's like, no, just literally cut down to the people watching the game and being like, oh, there she is screaming. She's staying in an abusive relationship, 15-yard penalty. Like, ha ha ha. What's the one thing you would praise? What's your brilliant jack-o'-lantern?
I really struggled with this because it's like, is there anything to praise really? I mean, I settled on what I found in a lot of these movies. I end up praising when there's not a lot else to praise. The gore effects were well done. Especially some of the kills we talked about, like the toes being chopped off, the whistle jamming down the throat, stuff like that. The effects were well done, and I always appreciate it when a movie tries to do practical effects, even if they don't always work out the best. And they at least try to do practical versus the horrible-looking CGI blood splatters. I'm appreciative of that.
I had the same thing. I had a feeling you'd say that. So my backup is Big Willie Nathan.
Well, see, my first thought was Big Willie Nathan, and I was like, oh, Jay's probably going to do Big Willie Nathan, so I'm going to do the kills instead. See, I should have just went with Big Willie Nathan.
You should have just gone with Big Willie Nathan. He's the star of the movie.
I mean, I didn't want to do that because it's like he's literally in it for 5 minutes. But it's like, if I'm going to ever remember anything about this movie, it's going to be Big Willie Nathan and his lines.
It's going to be Big Willie Nathan. It's going to be Neil Pritchard, the physical therapist dressed as a referee. Those are the stars of the movie.
Yes, that will probably, like, when we do the fucking 10th Spooktacular, in a decade, that will probably be the only thing I remember about these movies.
Big Willie Nathan.
Which, I mean, I guess that makes it an improvement over the first one. I mean, there's two, because in the first one, there's really only one thing you care about. That's the duo of the parents.
There was like Uncle Cooter or Uncle something.
Oh, yeah, and dating the younger woman.
Yeah, that was very silly.
Yeah, so he doesn't have any Big Willie level lines, though, that I can remember.
No, he's not a star like Big Willie Nathan is. Final rating. Every episode of Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular. We rate our movie on one of three categories. Is it seasonally spooky? Is it candy corny? Or is it 6 feet under?
He got it, folks.
Jeff?
Well, Jay, for this episode of the 2024 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular, which apparently we're in.
We are.
This is 6 feet under. I can't recommend this. I tried. I hovered between, because there's Big Willie. I mean, let's be honest. There's Big Willie in this. Ladies and gentlemen, how could you not recommend it?
You get all sorts of Big Willie in this movie.
Yes.
Well, not all sorts, but you get about 5 minutes of Big Willie in this movie.
5 minutes, which, I mean, how much Big Willie do you really expect to get?
Right, exactly.
I mean,
I'm not a machine.
Exactly.
Can't get Big Willie all day.
Exactly. We can't be doing this all the time, okay? But at the end of the day, 5 minutes of that is not worth watching this movie. And, I mean, I don't think we recommended the first one either. Only for like niche fans, I think was what we did for the first one. This one I wouldn't even recommend to you if you are like a slasher fan, because you're just going to be disappointed. And since you've already seen all the actual classic slashers, this is just going to piss you off.
So I went back and looked, and I gave the last one a candy corny, and it was probably conditional. But I gave the last one a candy corny, and I feel like I'm going to give this one a candy corny too. I will say I think this one was better than the first one in a lot of ways. It did drag it in the entire middle. It felt like the Itchy and Scratchy sketch from The Simpsons where Milhouse is going, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory?
Yeah.
Like there was literally, I think I was like about halfway through the movie, maybe like a third of the way through the movie. We're introduced to Neil Pritchard. We're introduced to Lester. We're introduced to George. We're introduced to Peter. Holcomb, Angela, Sharon, we got Maggie, we got PJ, we've got all these characters, we've got all of them bar Maggie, Holcomb, and PJ in the house, and I'm like, the kills have got to start at any minute now.
Nope.
And then they just don't, and it just drags on for, I don't know, another 20 minutes before like the first person dies. And then you're still kind of sitting there like, okay, cool, the kills have started, this is gonna be great, we're gonna get down to very quickly, we're gonna get down to PJ and maybe Holcomb and Maggie left, and everyone else is going to be dead. Nope, it's like another 10 minutes and then another person dies, and then it's another 10 minutes, and it's like, no, just I wanted Harding chasing them through this house, like with all the murders taking place. They go to Maggie's house, he gets in there, and then maybe like and then I'm like, oh, we're in the hospital. There's about 10 minutes left in the movie. Maybe we're gonna get like a scene where like she battles him in the hospital, a la Black Christmas 2006.
Yeah,
the kind of a thing you and I didn't like from Black Christmas 2006, but I'm like, oh, maybe we'll get that.
well, it would have.
No,
fit
we
better.
don't get that.
I say it would have fit a lot better in something like this. But
we get 5 minutes of credits at the end.
That's exactly why I can't recommend this, because we've said it a million times, but the absolute worst thing a movie can do is be boring, and there's like a huge portion of this movie that is just boring.
Like I said, like there are funny moments and there are funny lines, but like I said, very, very conditional. This is somewhere between the two, and I this is like it's right on the line of, I think, candy corny and 6 Feet Under for me. And retroactively, I'd probably say that's, if I didn't say those exact words, that's probably where I'd put the first one too, is somewhere in between the two.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that, but it fell more on the 6 Feet Under side for me.
But Jeff, did you stop to think that maybe there's some razor blades in our candy?
Jay, something was really crunchy in that handful of candy corn you gave me.
Yep.
You gonna go first or me?
You can go first.
All right. Jay,
because I think you and I have the same main one.
You're going to find out in life, Jay, that there are some things that you just need to watch, okay? You need to watch this movie, because if you don't, you're not a real horror fan. Hold on, let me pull this up. I probably should have done this before. But this is horror for the holidays, and we don't do preparation before episodes. Fuck all that nerd shit. Well, actually, Jay, I'm gonna go back, since that was the one that Jay found first and the one that he likes the best. I have one called The Unstoppable Killer Returns, or I guess begins. Unstoppable Killer Jack Harding. Why does nobody call him Jackariah? Everybody just calls him Jack,
right,
and all these things.
Jackariah is such a creepier name.
Returns, or I guess begins. Filmed after the third Saturday in October, which I guess I don't think so, but maybe.
I think they were filmed
they're
close
like
together.
Simultaneously filmed, basically. And presented as a newly discovered copy of a previously lost original series film. The third Saturday in October movies modeled themselves after the original Halloween to great effect. And I really did not get that.
No.
This is a 5-star review, by the way.
Like I said, the first one maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
this one not at all.
But yes, Ricky Dean Logan returns as the narrator to narrate Jackariah Harding's return. Oh, there he actually did it. To the town of Hackleburg after he assumingly escaped death at the end of the first one. He did escape death.
But also, if the conceit is that this is the fifth one, it would be that he escaped death at the end of the third, or at the end of the fourth one.
Yeah.
Not that he escaped death at the end of the first one, because we know he did at the end of the first one, because
we saw
that's
it.
what happened.
Yes. The movie does a great job looking and feeling like an old school slasher while playfully satirizing them. Honestly, I do not agree with that, but whatever. Moving on. It's hard to nail down the throwback slasher, but Burleson just did it twice. I hope he keeps making Third Saturday in October movies, filling in the missing entries in whatever order he sees fit. And this was part of a film festival review program, apparently.
Okay.
It's got down here, so I'm guessing that's probably why he's more predisposed to praise the movie, because he gets something out of it.
Yeah, we have discovered that we do think that's a thing that happens very often.
Yes.
Long legs. Well, do you want me to read mine?
Go ahead. I got a couple more after you.
All right, this one is titled Golden Corral versus Ruth's Chris. Which, man, I love the name Ruth's Chris. That's just, it's such a great name. Anyway, if you were expecting your steak to be seared at 1700 degrees Fahrenheit, you came to the wrong place. This flashback to a great decade in horror which once again, is supposed to be a flashback to the 90s, which I believe, other than like a handful of movies, was kind of considered like a dead year for horror. There are good horror movies in the 90s, but they are kind of few and far between. Anyway, this flashback to a great decade in horror was ideal for those who wanted a well-stocked buffet. However, before you review this future cult classic, be sure to study up on the genre first. Jeff, we haven't studied up on the genre. Apparently that's why that's why we don't know what's going on. Understand the masterful way in which the producers not only filmed Harding's angst, but also the thematic touches from the early 80s. It was meant to be watched on VHS, not Blu-ray, but once again, also, this is supposed to be a movie in the 90s.
Yes, I was going to say, it's not an 80s movie. I don't know why everybody says that.
The manner in which they intertwined the big game was outstanding. It was not. There's literally supposed to be a girl standing in the crowd cheering, and she is standing like in front of a forest, which is very weird. But she's supposed to be standing in the stands cheering, and we see her standing in front of this forest multiple times. Although I'm not sure any true football fans would leave for catfish or any upstairs hijinks. Well, once again, the girls aren't true fans. They are there just to party, and then they have to go to Catfish Cabin. Hackleburg is a dangerous place for teenagers. IMDb is similar for those not privy to past slasher films, and how well they captured the essence of the era in a mere 89 blood-soaked minutes. I would say maybe about 20 blood-soaked minutes.
I'd say 25 blood-soaked minutes, being generous, but okay.
Appreciate the steak and all the sides for what they are. I left the smorgasbord feeling quite satisfied and plan to return.
Well, that's nice for you, whoever wrote that review, but was that part of a film festival's review?
No, that was just on IMDb, I think.
Okay.
Well, I don't think. I know it was on IMDb.
All right. This is on Letterboxd, Jay.
All right.
You ready for this?
I am.
I was not expecting much from this, and that's probably due to the mostly mediocre plethora of retro-style 80s, 90s horror movie homages that have been released in the past few years. Really? Is there enough of that to be a plethora? I can think of like two.
Right. I mean, when was this review made?
This review was made in 2023.
Okay, so it's not even, you don't even get like, because I was trying to think, I'm like, well, maybe you could say like the Late Night with the Devil and what was that Walk in the Woods horror movie we saw?
Yeah, I mean, I
In
guess,
a Violent Nature, like
I was gonna say, I guess maybe In a Violent Nature could be considered that.
But that's 2020. That was this year. So
I'd say in a Late Night with the Devil, I wouldn't even really consider a slasher type movie.
no, but that's the closest I can think to like a throwback kind of thing.
But okay, so anyway, leaving that aside, this has been one of the most fun and really surprised me. It's labeled Part 5, but you're supposed to watch this before the other movie of the same name, which is Part 1, because it's supposed to be like it often was back then, when you would go see them out of order based on what you could get your hands on and where you could find them. So at least this guy knows what the original order conceit was, I guess.
But even then, like you and I said, I think it made more sense watching Part 1 than Part 5.
Yep. It definitely does. I mean, if you watch them both, you should watch part 1 first. It just makes you actually figure out what the hell's going on, because you have literally no background for anything if you go into the second one without watching the first one.
Or, you're like me and you just spend a whole summer watching Halloween 6 over and over and over again because it's the only one that's on, but you keep forgetting the name. And so your favorite Halloween movie that's not Halloween 3 is Halloween 6.
I remember my own first were Friday the 13th Part 2, which, I mean, that is essentially the start of the Friday the 13th franchise.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Because that's the one that Jason first appears in, unless you're counting the weird kid at the end of the first
The dream
one.
sequence at the end.
Yeah. Halloween 4, which Halloween 4 I could see as being a weird entry point to Halloween.
But it's also kind of a starting point.
It is, yes. That's like, and again, it's another, like, that's when they rebooted it or whatever for Michael Myers to return. So again, that's a good jumping off point. Better than this would be a jumping off point for this universe. Child's Play 2, which again, Child's Play 2, that one, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. A better one would be like, I don't know, jumping on with like Curse of Chucky. That would be maybe. I don't know. Maybe like Bride of Chucky or Seed of Chucky would be a weird place to jump in.
This one takes place in 1994, and the aesthetic is there, but it doesn't beat you on the head to the point of overkill, and it doesn't need to because the story is entertaining enough. Disagree. Hard disagree. The story in this movie is like total dog shit nonsense. The jokes are sometimes beautifully subtle.
They bang you over the head with, I think, every joke.
And almost always clever, which is great. The cast was also fun. No. Like 3 people in the cast were fun.
And one of them's Big Willie Nathan.
Oh, well, I'm reaching the last paragraph of this review that 100 people found helpful, by the way. I'm not going to lie. My little edible snack hit me super hard for some reason, and I basically don't remember the ending. So I'm going to go back and rewatch it. But I do remember telling myself last night that this was a solid masterpiece.
You know what? Perfect review. 10 out of 10.
So basically, he was high as fuck while he watched this movie, and he thought it was good.
That was kind of my goal one of the times I watched it. I was like, what would this movie be like if I took an edible beforehand? I never got around to that, but now I don't want to.
Do you have any more reviews, Jay?
I have one more.
Okay.
Also from IMDb. I think. No, I know it's from IMDb.
Jay's thinking a lot these days.
Our masking mayhem. Our indiscriminate masked killer is at it again, creating mayhem, but never quite masters parking his chosen mode of transport. The ever so ominous hearse. This is a 10 out of 10 review, by the way.
Oh my God.
The last one was a 9 out of 10. He clearly revels in hanging out at people's homes before dispatching them with a psychotic air reminiscent for me of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker performance. It's hard not to laugh out loud at some of the killing scenes. I agree with that.
Yeah.
In most horror films, it seems the pre-murder build-up tension is the most unsettling. I don't think this film achieves that. Agreed.
Why is this a 10 out of 10 then?
Again, he seems to spend an awful lot of time doing what exactly before getting down to the bloody action. Okay. But hits the spot when it comes to the killer's post-slasher indulgences. Which, like, yes, he does kind of like eat snacks and hang out in the house afterwards. Humorlessly unsettling and weirdly compelling viewing. Give it a go, I say. And that was a 10 out of 10.
No. I don't know.
Give it a go is not a 10 out of 10
I was gonna
review.
say. And something in there, reread the first part of that, because there was something in there that really...
was it the thing about similar to Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker
yes,
performance?
that was what it was. I was like, what? There's no way. He's basically not even a character. All he does is laugh. That's it. You think because he laughs that makes him similar to the Joker?
Oh, it's when I think of just classic crazy guys, I think of Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, and Zachariah Harding.
All right, now Jay, we have a 2-star Letterboxd review that I think is a more honest, not bought and paid for review like some of these higher up ones. That kind of falls more in line with us. So I included one of these so we know that we're not fucking crazy over here. 2 stars. Doesn't really satirize anything or make any use of the premise. It's supposed to be a horror comedy spoof on 90s slashers, and it gets the aesthetic right, but it's really not that funny.
Oh, hey, and they got that it's supposed to be a 90s
Yes.
a 90s sequel, not an 80s sequel.
And this is what I felt, but apparently Jay felt differently. Its idea of a joke is, what if a guy in a referee costume came over?
That's really funny. I'm sorry. Like I said, it's very much like a classic slasher thing where there's just a weird guy like who acts weird.
None of the goofy side characters or kills really did too much to separate it from any run-of-the-mill slasher. Weak acting, dull script, missed opportunity. And I think that's pretty much falls in line with our
Yeah,
review.
I think so.
All right, Jay, but of course, we're totally wrong. We're stupid. Let's go to the ultimate source. I had to pick one.
From Google.
Oh, unfortunately, Jay, there are no Google reviews
all right.
for this movie, but there is a better source of reviews. Can you guess what I'm talking about?
This is
the authoritative source, Jay. This is what they always talk about on the news. What Hollywood considers to be a good barometer of how a movie is doing.
Is this like the RogerEbert.com review?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're going Rotten Tomatoes, Jay.
Oh, all right.
We're going to the authoritative source on movies.
You're right. I didn't even think about that one.
Totally not a bought and paid for Warner Brothers' own platform, but whatever.
Easy there, Snyder bro.
Awesome. This is a 5-star review. Awesome horror comedy slasher flick. What? It's not a horror comedy. It's not. It's literally not. It's not supposed to be.
I mean, I think they wanted it to be a horror
but
comedy.
It's not. It's brilliant takeoff on Halloween and Friday the 13th.
No.
Also, the fact that it's set in Alabama really stood out for me as an Alabamian myself. Catfish Cabin, 10 out of 10.
Hey, they're just like me. If this was, I don't know, maybe this is what Alabama's like. But I feel like if they made like a horror movie set in Iowa, that's not the crazies, but like something like this, and then the people, like, to me, that doesn't seem like the way Alabama people would act.
Yeah,
I would like
doesn't.
if they did that for Iowa, I'd be like, this isn't the Iowa experience.
All right, now here's one on Rotten Tomatoes that brings us back to sanity to close us out. One closer to ours. 2 stars. A few good laughs, some slapsticky gore, strangely likable characters in some places, but suffers badly from the runtime. Too much of this feels like it's just killing time. And see, that's more in line with what actually happened. What are these 5-star and 4-star people smoking, Jay?
I have no idea, but
I mean,
want some.
obviously, that one guy, he was paid off by the film festival to say it was good.
And that other guy admitted that he had taken an edible, which, hey, thanks for being honest. Well, let's take Big Willie Nathan. No, let's take let's see if we can move Jachariah Harding around on our trick or treat list.
I don't know.
So I looked, and last year I didn't listen, but I looked, and last year I put lower than Harvest ? The bad guys from WNUF.
Yeah.
Do we think that he has moved past like the church weirdos from WNUF? If the conceit is that we have 5 movies worth of killings.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean,
has been like shot and like, is stabbed and whatever multiple times.
He's got basically Michael Myers level durability, which we knew in the first place.
But probably less exciting than Michael Myers.
But yeah, he doesn't have the draw or star power of Michael Myers, and he acts too human to have the eerie, because Michael Myers, yes, is a guy, but he has like an eerie, he's the shape. He's the otherworldly, like evil. He doesn't talk, you never see him eat, drink, sleep.
He was born under the Thorn Rune.
Yes, of course. Yes, Jay. He was born under the Thorn Rune.
Thorn Crew, rise up.
And is thus immortal. But anyway, Jachariah Harding he laughs. He like thinks everything is a joke. Like we said, he like fucking hangs out and eats shit in people's houses and stuff afterwards. He just acts like a regular serial killer, basically. He just can't die.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's like our like midpoint. Maybe like if you're better than him, like if we put you higher than him, that means you're like a pretty powerful killer. If you go below him, you're kind of like, well,
a joke killer.
Yeah, you're a joke.
I'm okay with that. I guess.
Which in WNUF, like that's the whole point is that they
Yes.
are kind of jokes.
Yes,
So,
they are. Yes, I think Jachariah Harding could take on a group of church weirdos. If you go much beyond that, like he's not beating Michael Myers.
Right.
He's gonna get blown out by Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. Sam, I mean,
Sam, no chance.
yeah, Sam dog walks him.
In the words of Jay's favorite wrestler, you got no chance.
Is that Scott Steiner? I don't know.
Yes.
Are you saying my favorite wrestler is Vince McMahon?
No,
Because
I
that's a
was-
hard pass.
I was referencing Scott Steiner math, but oh yeah, I forgot Vince McMahon's got the no chance in hell.
yeah,
Yes,
that's what I thought you were.
Jay Logsden's favorite wrestler is Vince McMahon.
No,
Confirmed.
wrong. No, Hangman
And he
Page,
doesn't know what a burrito is.
Swerve Strickland, Tony Storm, our timeless, delightful, greatest ever women's wrestler of all time, Tony Storm.
But yeah, I'm comfortable putting him as a midpoint. He's what other Halloween killers can be judged against,
Yeah,
I guess.
I think that's a good place to put him. Well, Jeff, it's time to. I know we've done a lot of talking. It's time to put our mouth to other use.
Oh,
that's
no.
that's a gross way to put it.
I was gonna say you're being real gross today, Jay.
It's time for a little segment we like to call.
Garbage Day!
Jeff, are you ready?
I am ready, Jay.
All right. Well, as you know, we got a little Beetlejuice squared, a little double Beetlejuice this year,
Oh boy.
and because of that, I've got some Beetlejuice stuff.
Uh-oh.
I've also got some non-Beetlejuice stuff. We're cleaning out the cupboard.
We're cleaning out the cupboard in this episode of Garbage Day.
I mean, there's still more in the cupboard, so it's not like it's done. I got the Beetlejuice EL fudge stripe cookies.
Nice, nice. Limited edition.
I got Reese's werewolf tracks.
Oh, sweet.
I got Kit Kat ghost toast.
Nice. Very nice, very nice.
I don't remember if we did these last year. I got Jelly Belly Monster Mash.
I don't think we did.
I think we did Christmas, but I don't think we did Halloween. So I got that. And to wash it all down, I got Beetlejuice Haunted Apple Fanta.
Yes, this is actually pretty good. I had a can of this at the movie theater while I was watching Beetlejuice.
Noises.
ASMR noises. Jay's opening his bottle right now. He's smelling it.
Instantly, it smells like green apple.
Tastes like you had those caramel apple suckers, famous at Halloween.
Yeah.
It's basically what this tastes like.
Kind of reminds me of the caramel apple sour beer from Barntown.
That's another
Which
good.
which maybe a Barntown thing will be appearing on the Spooktacular at some point.
Oh, really? That would be interesting.
Yeah. But this one, like, it's almost like a spiced apple. I wouldn't say it's even like a caramely flavor. I'd say it's more like a spiced apple or something.
It reminds me of like a spiked apple cider taste almost.
Ooh, that's a good call. But it's artificial green apple flavor, but then kind of like apple cidery artificial green apple.
Yeah.
That's a good pull. I was gonna say I feel like that would be a very good mixer.
Yes.
I don't know what you would mix it with per se, like off the top of my head, but I feel like that would be a very good mixer.
I agree.
I'm gonna sample one of these EL fudge cookies.
Going in on the Beetlejuice cookies. It's good. Nothing like too stand out, but it's not a bad flavor.
I think I might like that more than a regular EL fudge cookie.
It almost reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if they did it last year or the year before, but they had like a gingerbread one.
I think we did that one maybe last year.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of that, just a little bit more subtle on the flavor.
So it's a dark chocolate cookie with white vanilla like fudge. So kind of the opposite of an EL fudge, and it looks like Beetlejuice's famous
Coat,
tuxedo.
Pretty good, though. All right, we're doing the ghost toast, people. Here we go. Everybody knows it's a Kit Kat. Got to break us off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Curious to see what the werewolf tracks are like. So this is vanilla flavored cream.
So I think it's supposed to imitate moose tracks.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And then I assume the white top is supposed to look like the moon. The ghost toast, I don't know what ghosts have to do with like French toast. I also don't know why the Kit Kat's just orange. It makes me think that it would be orange dreamsicle flavor. If I just opened this, I would think it was orange dreamsicle flavored.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird choice. Although I guess it's probably because their Christmas one is like that light brown color, the one they did last time. So maybe they wanted to make it different than that.
Yeah.
I
don't hate it.
don't hate it, but I'm not a fan either. Take or leave this.
How was the Reese's? How'd the Reese's treat you?
It was good. I like it. I like it better than the zombie one that they usually do.
I heard Dinosaur Dracula say, so take this with a grain of salt, that the werewolf tracks to him tastes like Reese's Pieces, not like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
I didn't get that personally.
I don't know. To me, it tastes like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
That's what I got. It's like those guys. I don't know if there's anything different about those zombie cups or not.
I think it's supposed to be different, but I don't know that it is.
But it reminds me of the zombie cup.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Going back in for another drink of this Fanta to clear my palate.
Yep. As I'll crack open the Jelly Belly Monster Mashes. We got 5 flavors. We got caramel corn, green apple, Jewel grape soda. I don't know what that means. Jewel orange. I don't know what that means. And wild blackberry. I would say 2 of those things are kind of fall Halloween-y.
Yeah. I was going to say, that sounds like an odd mix for a Halloween mix, but okay.
All right, I think that's a Jewel orange and a caramel corn.
Okay.
Here's a green apple.
Okay.
I think that's a Jewel grape soda.
Looks like it.
And I'd assume that makes that a blackberry.
I mean, it would pretty much have to be.
Unless that looks the same, then I've got a different purple one.
Nope, that looks different.
Okay.
All right, well, what do you want to do first?
I'm trying to fish mine out now.
Jay Logston goes fishing.
All right, I got one of each.
Okay. You wanna go
Let's start with orange first.
All right, here we go. Orange going in.
Tastes like orange.
Yes, Jay, it does taste like orange. No, not
Honest-
sure what that has
honestly-
to do with Halloween.
Honestly, tastes like orange slices. That's kind of what it makes me think of. Which one you want to do next?
Let's do the grape.
All right, grape soda.
Pretty standard grape.
I can see that kind of being grape soda. Let's do blackberry next.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Caramel corn, and then we'll finish off with the green apple.
Okay.
I'll be damned. I'll be damned if that doesn't taste like caramel corn.
My favorite so far, caramel corn.
Green apple's solid too. Green apple's pretty good.
Yep.
I'm going to pour you a little handful. We'll pop like a handful in and see if kind of the flavors mix together well.
Well, it is a monster mash.
Exactly. We want a graveyard smash this.
I'm not liking it. It's not good mixed together.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of all these flavors mixing. This has been bad.
This was a bad idea.
This podcast was a bad idea. I know, audience, you must love this jelly bean chewing content.
Oh my god, there's so many jelly beans.
Jay Logson's currently dying.
I think the weirdest thing is we praised the caramel corn. Mm-hmm. It is disgusting with all the other flavors.
Mm-hmm. The part I don't get is half these flavors have nothing to do with Halloween. I mean, orange and grape soda, why?
Blackberry. I mean, I could kind of see blackberry.
Blackberry's a fall berry, but I don't see why it's in this mix.
I don't know. Yeah, that colored my whole opinion on the Jelly Belly Monster Mash.
It was rough. It's not a graveyard smash.
All right, well, let's rank. Bottom is all the Jelly Bellies together.
Yep. I think after that, the werewolf tracks.
Probably.
It's just a standard Reese's cup.
Tastes very much like a standard Reese's cup.
I'd
Then
say
probably Ghost Toast.
Yeah, I would say the Kit Kat after that. I'm gonna say the cookies second and the Fanta first for me.
I think I'd flip the two, but otherwise, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think those cookies are real good. I'm really impressed with those.
They are good. Oh, yeah.
Like I said, for the I think the Fanta's solid. I would love it. Like I said, I think it would be a good mixer. I just don't know what you would mix it with.
Vodka.
I mean, you could mix vodka with anything.
I know. It's a standard go-to answer. I gotta watch the taste of that fucking foul-ass jelly bean shit out of my mouth now. Good Lord. Never did I think something individually good could mix to become something so horrible.
But here we are.
Here we are on the Horror for the Holidays podcast.
Never before did I. Jay and Jeff, they seem pretty good by themselves. Together on a podcast.
Them together, ugh. They don't taste good together.
Oh, well, that's why we have such poor listenership.
Yes.
Just kidding, listeners. We love you.
I hate this audience, Jay. You know what this audience could do to show me? Tell a lot of people about the show and make them subscribe.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Also,
that really pissed me off.
Also, get in touch with us on let us know how bad this is. Let us know what your thoughts on the food. Get in touch with us on social media. We are at Horror4Holidays. Get in touch with us for our Garbage Day segment. Send us an email, horrorfortheholidays@gmail.com.
If you made Third Saturday in October, get a hold of us and tell us why you suck so bad.
Harsh. All the movies you haven't said that for, and you said that for one that's like by far not the worst thing we've watched.
This is like a middle of the road bad movie. No, we're not dealing with Krampus the Christmas Devil here. That's still the gold standard for me for bad movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Although Trapped Alive's close.
Yeah, Trapped Alive was not great.
That's so disappointing.
Also, can't forget American Scream.
Oh, yeah. No, Jay, I can and do forget the American Scream exists on a regular basis until I go back and look through our episode catalog when I'm looking for the new file to upload.
I think you're like, oh, God, the American Scream?
Yeah.
Yeah, get subscribe on your podcatcher of choice, 5 stars, leave us a review. Hey, Fatsos, stop eating into the microphone. We're trying here, okay? The room's small. We're big. The microphones have to be so close.
It's true. And my God, if you wanted us to stop eating into the microphones, you would have never got that 45 seconds of dead air while we tried to chew through a mass of disgusting tasting jelly beans.
I mean, I'm going to cut that out. I'm not going to leave that in. That's gross.
No, you leave that in, Jay. You leave in all of it. You make this audience suffer.
You know, if they really didn't want us to eat in the microphones, they'd send emails. Once again, horrorfortheholidays@gmail.com.
Or leave us reviews, youtube.com/horrorfortheholidays. Leave us a comment. Stop eating. I mean, just that's good advice in general.
Period. You guys need to die. Stop eating.
Stop eating. Well, Jay, I mean, I know the audience can't see me, but even if I did stop eating today, I wouldn't be dead for quite a while.
It'd probably be like a month or two before Jeff or I died.
Me, probably like a year or two.
I think that's everything. I don't know. Oh yeah, recommend the podcast. Tell a friend about it. If you do think someone would enjoy this, let them know. That's the best way to spread news about a podcast.
And write angry letters to Jelly Belly that their fucking Monster Mash tastes awful together.
Also, you know what? Tell Dude Daddy sucks. We haven't brought up our rival Dude Dad.
Don't remind me about fucking Dude Dad. Dude Dad, if you're listening to this, we're coming for you.
I took the rest of those Dude Dad Twinkies to the Halloween store, and they were not a hit.
Wow.
A handful of people got them thinking they were regular Twinkies.
Oof. Oh, that's disappointing. That's a soul crusher.
Yep.
Fucking Dude Dad, you've harmed more people.
Anyway.
How does he keep getting away with it, Jay?
I don't know. I don't know why he's like, this is what contractors are like.
Yeah.
5 million views, 8 billion likes.
This is what contractors are like. If you want to change something, you're going to have to pay for it. And it's going to take longer. Wow. Height of comedy.
Anyway, yeah. We'll see you next week as the Spooktacular rolls on.
The 2024 Horror for the Holidays Halloween Spooktacular, Jay?
That one, in fact.
Ah, okay.
The Spooktacular rolls on as we try to figure out how to watch Pumpkinhead 2 Blood Wings.
The Spooktacular rolls on, much like the hosts.
Rolls and rolls and rolls. The fat. All right. Well, anyway.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
In the crypt, late at night.
monster grooming, what a fright. The goblin's dance, oh so grand, with vampires leading the band. Dracula waltz with ghouls in the blow. It was a happening monster show. They did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. Got on in a flash.